You'll always be weak. My mother's words hissed through clenched teeth as she shoved my bedroom door open, a universal key glinting in her grip. Dad stood by the kitchen entrance, wearing gloves, claiming this was the family's house. And my sister, phone raised high, was live streaming to thousands of viewers. I smiled, because the cameras that were really recording were mine. When the patrol sirens wailed outside my gate, the real game had just begun. My name is Riley Hart, and I'd just finished the last coat of paint in my first house truly mine, with only my name on the deed. The smell of fresh primer still clung to the walls of my Aurora home, mixing with the Colorado mountain air drifting through cracked windows. After 6 years in Army logistics and another 3 climbing the ranks at Northline Dynamics, I'd finally saved enough for the down payment, plus a hefty renovation budget from my last project bonus. The house wasn't much a modest 2-bedroom ranch on Elmwood Drive, but every door lock, every window latch, every square foot belonged to me alone. Or so I'd thought. "Riley, sweetie, you really should give us a spare key," my mother Lorraine had said during their first visit, running her fingers along my new granite countertops like she was appraising them. "What if something happens to you?" "I'm fine. Mom, I've got everything covered." "You always were too independent for your own good," she'd replied, that familiar edge creeping into her voice. "You'll always be weak without family support. Remember that." My father, Frank, had been quieter, but his eyes had cataloged everything: the smart locks I'd installed, the new 65-inch TV, the renovation receipts I'd carelessly left on the kitchen counter. "Awful lot of money for someone your age to be throwing around," he'd muttered. "Hope you remember who helped you when you were deployed." "Your mother and I handled everything back here." They hadn't. Actually, I'd set up automatic bill pay before leaving Fort Carson, but in the Hart family mythology, their minimal house checking had transformed into some heroic sacrifice deserving eternal gratitude and repayment. My younger sister Sloane had started her vlog channel 6 months ago, Mile High Drama. 28 years old and still living in our parents' basement, she'd found her calling in manufactured controversy. During that same visit, she'd filmed what she called "a day with my Ice Queen sister" without my permission, later editing it to make me look dismissive and cruel when I'd simply asked her to put the camera down during dinner. "Can't you support my career for once?" she'd whined, those practiced tears that had worked since childhood already forming. "Recording people in their own home without consent isn't a career. Sloane." The tears had dried instantly. "God, you're such a bitch." "No wonder you're alone." The red flags had started small. Mysterious declined charges on my credit cards from IP addresses I didn't recognize. My mother insisting certain items in my house, a vintage mirror from my grandmother, an antique chess set, were family heirlooms that belonged to her. Sloane's subscribers mysteriously knowing details about my work schedule and home address. Those belonged to the family. Lorraine had insisted during their last visit, pointing at the chess set displayed in my living room. "I only let you borrow them. Grandma left them to me specifically. I have the will." Wills can be interpreted different ways. I'd started keeping notes after that conversation. Screenshots, audio recordings. Colorado is a one-party consent state. My military training had taught me that documentation was ammunition, and something told me I was going to need every round. 2 weeks ago, I'd changed all the locks to smart systems with unique codes, installed security cameras in every room fully legal in my own home, and set up motion sensors that would alert my phone. My parents had been furious when I'd politely declined their request for spare keys for emergencies. "What if something happens?" Frank had demanded. "What if you fall down the stairs? Then I'll call 911, like a normal adult." "You're being paranoid and selfish," Lorraine had snapped. "Family shares everything. That's how it works." "No," I'd said simply. "That's how control works." The credit card fraud attempts had escalated after that. Someone had tried to add Lorraine as an authorized user on 3 of my accounts. The same day. Sloane had posted a vlog haul from vintage shops, wearing what looked suspiciously like my grandmother's brooch, one I'd reported missing from my jewelry box the previous week. I'd spent that evening at my dining room table, laptop open, cataloging everything, every attempt, every violation, every little dig designed to wear me down. My neighbor Noah Alvarez, a retired firefighter who'd seen his share of domestic disasters, had noticed me carrying in new security equipment. "Everything okay?" he'd asked, genuine concern in his weathered face. "Family drama," I'd replied. He'd nodded knowingly. The kind that requires cameras. The kind that requires evidence. Now, as I sat reviewing the latest alert from my bank, another attempted wire transfer. This time for $8,000, my phone buzzed with a text from Lorraine. "If you apologize publicly for your behavior and return what belongs to the family, we can put this all behind us." I stared at the message, then at the security app showing all systems normal, all locks engaged, all cameras recording. They thought they were playing chess with a pawn. They had no idea they were walking into an ambush planned by someone trained in military logistics. Someone who'd learned that the best defense wasn't just a good offense, it was letting your enemy defeat themselves while you documented every move. The Saturday afternoon sun slanted through my living room windows when I pulled into my driveway at 3:45 p.m., earlier than usual from Northline's weekend server maintenance. My key fob beeped front door already unlocked. The smart lock app showed an override at 3:22 p.m. My hand moved instinctively to my phone, thumb hovering over Officer Kincaid's direct line as I pushed the door open. They stood in my kitchen like they owned it. Frank wielding a crowbar he'd used on my back door. Splinters of wood scattered on my clean tile. Lorraine rifling through my grandmother's china cabinet. And Sloan phone held vertically. Ring light attached narrating to her live audience. "And here she comes now. The daughter who locks out her own parents." Sloane's voice pitched high with manufactured hysteria. "Watch what happens when we confront. Get out!" My voice came out steady, controlled, military calm. "This is our house, too." Lorraine spun around, clutching my grandmother's sterling silver tea set. "Your father's name should be on the deed. We helped pay for it. You contributed nothing. I have every bank statement." Frank stepped forward, waving a printed paper some template from LegalZoom with forged signatures. "This says different. Co-ownership agreement. You signed it. That's fraud, and you know it. Riley's attacking us." Sloan suddenly screamed at her phone. "She's being violent." I hadn't moved an inch. 2,000 viewers watching right now. She swung the camera toward me. "Tell them why you hate your family. Tell them why you're so cruel." I stood perfectly still, hands visible, voice clear. "You are being recorded by my home security system. This is breaking and entering. Please leave immediately." "You can't kick us out of our own house!" Lorraine shrieked, shoving past me toward my bedroom. "I'm taking what belongs to me." The sound of my bedroom door splintering made my jaw clench. She emerged, dragging my fireproof safe, the one containing my military medals, grandmother's jewelry, and legal documents. "That's mine," she hissed. "Your grandmother promised it to me. You stole it. I have the will. The lawyers have the will. You're on camera committing burglary." "You'll always be weak." The words exploded from her mouth, spit flying. "Always running away, hiding behind your little soldier act. You think you're so strong. You're nothing without us. Weak." Sloan shoved her camera in my face. "Are you going to cry? Come on, cry for the audience. Show them who you really are." Frank moved toward my office, and that's when I pressed the emergency button on my phone. Silent alarm to Officer Kincaid, our district patrol officer who'd been briefed on the situation after the first fraud attempt. "Dad's getting the important documents," Sloan narrated breathlessly. "The ones that prove this house belongs to the family. Those are my tax returns and work contracts," I stated clearly, knowing my cameras caught every word. "Private documents you have no right to access." "We have every right," Lorraine dragged the safe toward the door. "We're your parents. We own you. We own everything you have. Ma'am, that safe contains classified military documents. Federal crime to remove them. That was partially true. My discharge papers were in there. Frank hesitated. Lorraine didn't. You're lying. Always lying, weak little girl playing soldier. Sirens. Growing louder. Cops! Sloane shrieked at her phone. She called the cops on her own parents. See how evil. The patrol car pulled up fast. Officer Kincaid and his partner emerging with purpose. They'd watched enough of my security feed on their way over. I'd given Kincaid access after the second break-in attempt. Ma'am, sir, step away from the safe, Kincaid commanded from my doorway. This is our house, Frank protested, still clutching my tax documents. We have papers. Forged papers aren't valid, sir. This residence belongs solely to Ms. Hart. You're trespassing. We're her parents. Lorraine's mask finally slipped completely, her face contorting with rage. That ungrateful bitch owes us everything. The house, the money, respect. Ma'am, you're being recorded on multiple devices. I'd advise I don't care who's recording. She turned to Sloane's phone. You want to see truth. This girl is a pathetic, damaged military reject who can't even… That's enough. Kincaid's partner moved forward with cuffs. You're under arrest for breaking and entering, attempted burglary, and destruction of property. Sloane's live stream caught it all, the handcuffs clicking, her parents being read their rights, my mother still screaming about weakness and ownership as they led her away, her audience of thousands witnessing the real story. This isn't over, Frank shouted as they guided him into the patrol car. You'll pay for this. Sloane stood frozen, phone still recording, as the reality hit her. The footage she'd meant to destroy me with had just documented her parents committing multiple felonies. You should probably stop recording, I said quietly. She lowered the phone, face pale. They said you gave them permission. They said it was their house too. And you believed them. They're our parents. No, I said, stepping over the splintered wood from my back door. They're criminals, and you just gave me all the evidence I need. The patrol car pulled away, Kincaid staying behind to take my statement and photograph the damage. Sloane fled without another word, but her live stream was already being screen recorded by dozens of viewers. My phone buzzed. Noah from next door. Saw the whole thing from my garage. Got it on my camera too if you need it. I looked at the destruction-broken doors, scattered papers, muddy footprints across my clean floors. Then I looked at my phone, where every second had been captured in high definition from multiple angles. They'd thought they were stripping me bare, leaving me weak and exposed. Instead, they'd handed me a loaded weapon. Within 6 hours, Sloane's edited version went viral. Toxic daughter calls cops on elderly parents. The title screamed across YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. She'd cut out the break-in, the crowbar, the "you'll always be weak" rant. Started the footage right when the cops arrived, making it look like a sobbing elderly couple being dragged from their daughter's home. The comments section turned into a digital lynch mob. What kind of monster does this to their parents? Military poisoned her brain. Hope karma gets this bitch. My work email flooded with hate mail. Someone had linked my LinkedIn to the video. HR called me at 9 p.m. Saturday night, they'd received 17 complaints about my elder abuse in 3 hours. Riley, we need to discuss this Monday, my supervisor said carefully. The company has concerns about the optics. I sat at my kitchen table, laptop open, watching the view count climb $847,000 and rising. But I wasn't watching Sloane's version. I was organizing my own files, timestamp synced security footage from 6 cameras, doorbell audio, the smart lock logs showing the forced override. My phone rang. Ms. Patel from First National Bank, working late on fraud alerts. Ms. Hart, I'm calling about suspicious activity on your accounts. Someone attempted to add Lorraine Hart as an authorized user using a notarized letter. The notary seal was fake. We've contacted law enforcement. When 4:17 p.m. today, about 40 minutes after, She paused. After the timestamp on the arrest report you forwarded. So while my parents were being processed at the station, someone, definitely Sloan, was trying to access my money. There's more, Ms. Patel continued. Your credit card was used at Vintage Treasures downtown at 2:33 p.m. today. $3,000 in purchases. But you reported that card stolen last week. Let me guess, someone who looks like my sister on the security footage. I cannot confirm that, but I can say the purchase included several items matching the description of property you reported stolen. We're treating this as felony fraud. I pulled up Sloane's Instagram. There it was, posted at 2:45 p.m. Saw her vintage haul featuring my grandmother's brooch, my antique pearl necklace, even the silver cigarette case my grandfather carried in World War II. Family heirlooms from Mom. The caption read, my phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number, then another, and another. Screenshots flooded in from strangers who'd found my information. Kill yourself, military bitch. We know where you work. Your parents should disown you. Then, cutting through the hate, a different message. From Lorraine's phone. If you drop the charges and apologize publicly, admitting you invited us over and overreacted, I'll tell Sloan to take down the video. You have 12 hours. Extortion. In writing. I screen-capped everything, forwarded it to attorney Mara Ellison, who'd been recommended by Kincaid. Her response came within minutes. Do not respond. This is criminal coercion. Their bail hearing is Monday at 8 a.m. I've filed for an emergency protection order. The edited video is defamation with provable damages. Save everything. Another email popped up from Northline's CEO. Someone had sent him the viral video with a subject line. Is this the kind of person representing Northline Dynamics? My hands stayed steady as I opened a new folder. Evidence, defamation. I began downloading every comment, every share, every threat. The Internet Archive captured Sloane's original live stream before she privated it the full, unedited hour, showing the break-in clearly. Noah knocked on my damaged back door at 11 p.m. Brought my laptop, he said, holding up a flash drive. Doorbell camera caught them arriving at 3:05 with tools. Frank had bolt cutters too, not just the crowbar. Want me to testify? Would you? Already wrote my statement. Also, he pulled out his phone. My daughter follows Sloane's drama channel. She screen recorded the whole original live stream. Your mom admitting she was stealing. Your dad with the forged papers. All of it. The internet had made me a monster, but it had also preserved the truth. By midnight, I'd compiled everything into organized folders. 63 gigabytes of evidence. Financial fraud spanning 3 months. Attempted identity theft. Breaking and entering. Destruction of property. Defamation. Extortion. Each crime meticulously documented with timestamps, screenshots, and video proof. Sloan posted a new video at 12:43 a.m. Update: my sister is trying to silence me. She cried prettily for the camera, claiming I was using my military connections to intimidate the family. The comments exploded with fresh rage, but buried in her performance, she'd made a crucial mistake. She'd shown a text from Lorraine about the plan to get the house. I screenshotted that frame. Evidence of conspiracy. My phone rang. Mara Ellison. Despite the late hour. Riley, I've been reviewing everything you sent. This isn't just a family dispute anymore. We're looking at organized fraud, criminal conspiracy, and an extortion ring. The FBI might take interest given the wire fraud across state lines. I just wanted them to leave me alone. They escalated this, not you. The edited video changes everything that's provable malicious defamation. With your military record and work reputation at stake, we're talking serious damages. Plus, Colorado's new cyber harassment laws mean each threatening message is a separate crime. I looked around my violated home. The broken door, the muddy footprints, the empty space where my safe had sat before the police took it as evidence. What's the next step? We counterstrike, hard, fast, with everything. Outside, another neighbor's camera had captured something Sloane's editing missed. Frank and Lorraine high-fiving in my driveway before breaking in, laughing about finally getting what's ours. They'd thought viral humiliation would break me, make me weak, force me to surrender. They had no idea what was coming. Monday morning, 7:30 a.m. Attorney Mara Ellison's office looked like a war room. 3 paralegals organizing evidence binders, 2 laptops running video analysis software, every surface covered with printed screenshots, bank statements, and legal precedents. "Your parents made bail last night," Mara said, sliding a protection order across her mahogany desk. "Signed by Judge Patterson at 6 a.m. They cannot come within 500 feet of you, your home, or workplace." Sloan. Not arrested yet, but her financial fraud case is building. First National Bank filed their own charges. Mara pulled up a screen. She's posted 12 videos since Saturday, 3 million total views. Each one adds to our defamation case. I'd come prepared. Military habits die hard. My evidence was organized in color-coded folders with a master index. Timeline starts 3 months ago. I laid out the first folder. September 15th, first fraudulent credit application using my SSN. September 28th, attempt to add Lorraine to my mortgage through a forged quitclaim deed. Mara's paralegal whistled low. That's federal. October through November 17, attempts to access my bank accounts using security questions only family would know. December 1st, I pulled out the printed screenshots. Sloan starts posting family drama content, mentions my address, my work schedule, implies I have PTSD from deployment. She doxed you to 200,000 followers. Mara noted, "That's aggravated harassment." Here's the interesting part. I opened the Navy folder. Every time Sloan posted about me, within 24 hours there was a fraud attempt, patterns consistent. They coordinated. Mara studied the correlation chart I'd built. Dates, times, IP addresses all mapped out like a logistics operation. "This is RICO-level conspiracy," she muttered. They turned crime into a family business. Officer Kincaid arrived at 8:15 a.m. with his reports. Forensics pulled prints off the crowbar. He said, "Frank's and Lorraine's, the co-ownership document he carried. We traced the notary seal. It's from a kit sold on eBay. Seller's records show Sloan's credit card. The safe, everything inside cataloged. Your grandmother's will clearly states you as sole beneficiary for those items. Lorraine's claim is worthless." He paused. "There's something else. We found text messages on Lorraine's phone during booking. 3 weeks of planning the break-in. They called it Operation Takeback." Mara smiled sharp, predatory. "Premeditated conspiracy. That upgrades the charges." We spent the next hour building the battle plan. 2 parallel attacks, criminal prosecution and civil litigation. Criminal side, Kincaid laid out. We have B&E, burglary, fraud, identity theft, extortion, and criminal mischief. With priors, I interrupted. Your parents have a history. Small claims court in Kansas, sued by Lorraine's brother over borrowed money never returned. Frank has a fraud conviction from 1998 bad checks. I'd never known. They'd hidden it well. Civil side, Mara continued. Defamation with provable damages, your job's at risk. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. Invasion of privacy. Conversion of property. With the viral videos causing quantifiable harm, we're looking at 6 figures minimum. I don't want their money. No, but you want them to stop. Financial consequences are the only language they understand. My phone buzzed. Another text from Lorraine. Last chance. Public apology or we release the rest. Mara immediately screenshotted it. More extortion. Beautiful. The rest of what? Doesn't matter. Empty threat or not, it's still criminal coercion. We moved to the conference room where Mara's team had assembled the full case. The presentation was devastating, every crime documented, every lie exposed, every theft tracked. Phase 1, Mara explained. We file the civil suit today, defamation, damages, and injunction demanding immediate removal of all content. Phase 2, we provide this evidence package to the DA for upgraded criminal charges. Phase 3. She smiled. We go public with the truth. Public. Your sister weaponized social media. We'll use the same battlefield, but legally, carefully. The plan was surgical. First, file everything under seal to prevent destruction of evidence. Then serve papers simultaneously hit them all at once before they could coordinate stories. Finally, petition for expedited hearing given ongoing harm. There's a risk, Mara warned. They might escalate. Cornered animals do desperate things. They already broke into my house. I mean worse. These people feel entitled to you, to your life. When that entitlement gets challenged, she pulled out another form. I recommend upgrading your security system, and consider staying elsewhere for a few days. Noah had already offered his guest room. I'd packed a bag that morning. What about my job? I've drafted a letter to Northline's legal department, explaining the situation, providing evidence that the viral video is edited defamation. Most companies back off when they realize they're witnessing a crime, not a scandal. At 10 a.m., we reviewed Sloane's latest video. She'd started a GoFundMe for her parents' legal fees, claiming they were elderly victims of military abuse. It had raised $8,000 in 12 hours. Wire fraud, Mara noted. Fundraising under false pretenses. Every move they made just added charges. I need to ask, Mara said carefully. Why now? Why fight back so hard? You could have just changed locks and moved on months ago. I thought about it, about years of being called weak, decades of manipulation disguised as love, a lifetime of being told I owed them everything. In the Army, we learned about kill boxes, tactical zones where you trap enemy forces and eliminate them systematically. I met her eyes. They entered my kill box when they touched my grandmother's things, when they tried to steal what I'd earned, when they filmed it thinking they were untouchable. And the "you'll always be weak" comment, proof they never knew me at all. Mara stood, gathering the filed documents. Ready. I looked at the mountain of evidence, 3 months of their crimes cataloged with military precision. One question, when this goes public, when people see the real footage, they'll see the truth, all of it, the break-in, the theft, the extortion, everything. I thought about Sloane's 3 million viewers, about the comment sections calling for my death, about my parents, so certain they could break me. Then yes, I'm ready. Good. Mara checked her phone. Process servers will hit them simultaneously at noon. Your parents at their bail hearing. Sloane at the cafe where she's streaming live right now. I smiled, imagining Sloane's face when she got served on her own live stream. Perfect. Her audience should see that. Tuesday night, 11:45 p.m. I sat in Noah's guest room, methodically preparing for war. Every piece of evidence now had triple backups cloud, external drive, and Mara's secured server. But I wasn't done yet. The locksmith had installed new smart locks that afternoon, military-grade encryption, impossible to override without triggering immediate police dispatch. The security company added 4 more cameras, including one pointed directly at the circuit breaker after Noah mentioned seeing Frank near it during the break-in. Probably planning to cut power, he'd said. Disable your cameras before entering. Now, each camera had battery backup. Motion sensors in every room fed to an app that would alert me, Mara, and Officer Kincaid simultaneously. But the real trap was more subtle. I'd placed UV powder on specific items throughout the house doorknobs, drawer handles, and especially the antique jewelry box Lorraine coveted, invisible to the naked eye. It would mark anyone who touched them. The local crime lab had provided it after Kincaid explained the situation. Military the tech had asked, noting my systematic approach. Logistics. We learned to track everything. Then you'll appreciate this. He'd handed me tiny RFID tags, each smaller than a rice grain. Embed these in valuable items. We can track them anywhere within 5 miles. I'd spent 3 hours that evening carefully placing tags inside picture frames, beneath furniture feet, sewn into the lining of my grandmother's jewelry box. If they took anything, I'd know exactly where it went. My laptop chimed. New notification from the cloud storage: someone was viewing Sloane's latest video using my IP address. Impossible. I was at Noah's, and my house was empty. I pulled up my security app. All cameras showed dark rooms, no movement. But the smart lock log showed something interesting. Someone had tried the old code at 11:22 p.m., the one I'd given my parents months ago, before changing everything. Then I saw it. The camera facing the backyard caught a glimpse of movement by the fence. Quick, furtive. They were checking if I was home. I texted Kincaid, possible attempted entry, subjects testing perimeter. His response was immediate. Patrol dispatched. Stay where you are. On my laptop, I pulled up the public court records. My parents' bail had been modified after the protection order ankle monitors, mandatory GPS tracking. I logged into the monitoring site Mara had gotten me access to. Frank's GPS showed him at home, but the accuracy was only within 50 feet, close enough to technically be compliant while actually being in my backyard. Another notification. The financial tracker I'd set up flagged a new transaction. Someone had just tried to open a credit card using my social security number and my mother's phone number as contact. The application timestamp 11:51 p.m. They were trying to destroy me while testing my defenses. I opened a new document, cataloging everything with screenshots and timestamps. Then I noticed something in Sloane's GoFundMe comments, a supporter offering to teach that military bitch a lesson. The profile photo looked familiar. I ran it through reverse image search. Frank's cousin from Texas, recently released from prison for assault. I forwarded this to Mara immediately, then called Officer Kincaid. We saw the patrol report. He answered without preamble. Your neighbor also called someone in a hoodie was photographing your house. We're increasing patrols. There's more. I explained about the cousin, the credit fraud attempt, the IP address anomaly. Christ, they're escalating. I heard him typing. I'm upgrading this to criminal harassment and stalking. FBI might take interest given the cyber elements crossing state lines. Wednesday morning, 6 a.m. Mara called with updates. Process servers confirmed delivery. Your parents were served at their bail hearing. The judge was not amused. Sloane got served on livestream as predicted. Her viewers saw everything. And she tried to spin it as persecution, but one of her viewers is a paralegal. They started explaining in the comments what the documents actually meant. The tide's turning. I checked social media on my burner account. The video of Sloane being served had gone viral, but not how she'd intended. Comments were shifting. Wait, fraud charges, federal investigation. Anyone else notice she edited out the first part of the original stream? My cousin's a cop. Those charges aren't fake. Then I saw it. Someone had posted the unedited footage from Noah's daughter. The full break-in, clear as day. The real story was trending locally. My phone rang. HR from Northline. Riley, we received Attorney Ellison's letter and reviewed the evidence. We're placing a security detail at your office and supporting any legal action needed. Also, the CEO wants to personally apologize for the initial response. Thank you. There's more. Our legal team ran a background check on your family after seeing the evidence. Your sister has been using a Northline company card number she found on your social media for online purchases. That's corporate fraud. Another crime. Another charge. I made a note to check my home office later had Sloane photographed more than just the company card. By noon, I'd tagged 17 more pieces of evidence. The invisible ink on several items in my house. Bank statements showing suspicious patterns dating back 2 years. Text messages between my parents planning to claim squatters' rights if they could stay in my house for 30 days. Delusional, Mara said when I forwarded them. Colorado doesn't work that way. But conspiracy to commit fraud, absolutely. The security app alerted again. Motion in my driveway. But this time, it was a news van. Then another. By 2 p.m., 3 local stations were parked outside my empty house. Sloane had given an interview claiming I was hiding because guilty people run. She didn't realize I was building a case that would end all of them. That evening, I created the master timeline. 3 years of financial abuse, emotional manipulation, and escalating crime, all mapped out with evidence for each point. 200 pages of documented proof. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, but I recognized the area code. Kansas, where my parents used to live. Is this Riley Hart? I'm Jim Morrison, Lorraine's brother. I saw the news. I have documents you need to see, from when they did this to our mother before she died. My hands stilled. Did what? Convinced her to sign over her house, then threw her in a state nursing home. Took everything she had. I've been waiting 20 years for someone to stop them. I gave him Mara's contact information. Another witness. Another pattern of crime. Looking at my evidence wall Noah had let me use his spare bedroom, I saw the full picture emerging. This wasn't just about me. This was about a lifetime of victims. Tomorrow, everything would be ready. The tags, the powder, the surveillance, the documents. Let them come. I was no longer defending. I was hunting. Thursday, 2 p.m. Sloan announced on Instagram she'd be doing a Justice Rally livestream at my house at 4 p.m. Time to expose the truth about my abusive sister bring signs. Perfect timing. Mara had predicted this. They always return to the scene, she'd said. Criminals can't help themselves. I watched from Noah's kitchen as my security cameras showed the street filling up. Sloan arrived at 3:45 p.m. in her white Tesla financed, I'd learned, using my credit information. Behind her, a small crowd of her most devoted followers gathered with handmade signs. Justice for elder abuse, military mindset, family trauma. Then I saw them, Frank and Lorraine, arriving separately, keeping just beyond the 500-foot protection order limit. Frank parked at the corner stop sign. Lorraine stood at the neighbor's property line across the street, both holding phones, filming. They're technically compliant, Kincaid said over the phone. But this is coordinated harassment? Let them continue, Mara advised on our three-way call. Every second is more evidence. Sloan started her stream, standing at my driveway's edge. Family, we're here where my sister Riley lives, hiding inside like the coward. My cameras caught everything. The crowd, the signs, but most importantly, what Sloan did next. She walked to my gate, pulled out a familiar object. My spare key fob, the one I'd reported stolen 2 weeks ago. Let me show you the house my parents paid for, she announced to her viewers. The fob beeped. Nothing happened. I'd deactivated it and flagged it in the system. Any use would trigger immediate alerts. Cheap sister probably changed the locks again. Sloan laughed nervously. Then she did something incredible. She pulled out lockpicks. My friend taught me these for urban exploration videos, she told her audience, kneeling at my front door. It's not illegal if it's family property. The protection order specifically prohibited any family member from entering my property. She was violating it on livestream to 50,000 viewers. Officer Kincaid was already moving. 3 patrol cars converged silently, lights off. Inside my house, the silent alarm triggered. The cameras switched to high-definition recording. The UV powder waited on the doorknob she was manipulating. Got it. Sloan pushed the door open, not noticing the UV dust now coating her hands. Come on, family. Let me show you what your donations are fighting for. 5 of her followers rushed in behind her. The cameras tracked them all through my living room, into my kitchen, toward my bedroom. This is the safe she claims we tried to steal. Sloan pointed at the new safe I'd installed a decoy containing fake documents and GPS trackers. Let me show you what's really inside. She pulled out her phone's flashlight, typed in numbers on the keypad. How did she know? Then I remembered. She'd filmed me entering my gym locker code months ago. Same numbers. I'd kept it identical on the decoy safe intentionally. It opened. She pulled out the fake inheritance documents I'd planted actually copies of the real will with RFID tags embedded. Look proof she stole from our parents. That's when the police entered. Hands up, nobody move. Sloan spun, still streaming. Police brutality, they're protecting. Ma'am, you're under arrest for violating a protection order, breaking and entering, and burglary. This is my parents' house. No, ma'am, it's not. Kincaid held up his phone showing the property deed. You're on camera picking locks and entering illegally." The UV light he pulled out illuminated her hands glowing bright purple from the powder. Her followers' hands glowed too. "Everyone here is under arrest." The live stream kept running as they cuffed her. Thousands of viewers watching their influencer get arrested in real time. The comments exploded. "OMG, she actually broke in. That's not her house at all. We've been scammed." From the corner, Frank started running toward the house. His ankle monitor began shrieking he'd violated the proximity limit. "Dad, no!" Sloan screamed. "You'll get arrested." He didn't stop, burst through my back gate just as two officers tackled him. Lorraine, smarter, stayed at the property line, filming everything, but her face gave her away pure rage at watching the plan collapse. Inside my house, officers documented everything: the picked lock, the UV powder transfers, the stolen items from the decoy safe. Each follower who'd entered was photographed, processed, and charged. "The live stream," one officer said, "is being saved as evidence." She documented her own crimes. Sloane's phone, still streaming, captured her being placed in the patrol car. The viewer count had hit 200,000. But now the comments had shifted entirely. "She lied to us. Refunding my GoFundMe donation. Now. Anyone else realize we witnessed a crime?" The best part came when they searched Sloane's Tesla. Inside my grandmother's silver tea set, the antique mirror, 3 of my watches, and printed copies of my bank statements with handwritten notes about available credit. Each item glowed under UV light. Each contained an RFID tag pinging its location to my phone. "Grand theft," Kincaid noted. "Possession of stolen property. Conspiracy to commit fraud." As they drove Sloane away, her phone finally died, ending the stream. But the internet never forgets. Within minutes, the footage was everywhere. Reddit threads dissected every second. Twitter parsed the legal implications. TikTok creators made reaction videos exposing her lies. My phone rang. Jim Morrison, my mother's brother. "Saw the live stream. I'm flying in tomorrow with those documents." 20 years of evidence about what they did to our mother. Bank records, forged signatures, the works. "Thank you. Thank you. You're the first person strong enough to stop them." Mara texted, "Emergency injunction granted. All their social media must be surrendered to the court. GoFundMe frozen pending fraud investigation." "This is beautiful. Riley." I sat in Noah's kitchen, watching the news vans arrive at my house again. This time, they had the real story. Anchors were already discussing the influencer who live-streamed her own arrest. My phone showed the RFID tags from the planted documents. They were now at the police station, entered into evidence. The trap had worked perfectly. Sloane thought she was producing content. Instead, she'd directed, filmed, and distributed evidence of her own crimes. Her parents had enabled and participated. They'd walked into my kill box, and I hadn't had to fire a shot. The UV powder would stay on their skin for days, a purple reminder that they'd been caught literally red-handed, or, in this case, purple-handed. Tomorrow would bring the full criminal charges. But tonight, the internet was doing my work for me, the truth spreading faster than their lies ever had. Friday morning, 9 a.m., Courtroom 4B, Aurora Municipal Court. The gallery was packed journalists, Sloane's former followers, curious locals who'd seen the viral arrest. Judge Rebecca Harrison presided, known for her no-nonsense approach to family disputes turned criminal. I sat with Mara at the plaintiff's table. Across from us, my parents and Sloane with their public defenders, the purple UV stains still visible on their hands despite aggressive scrubbing. This emergency hearing addresses multiple protection order violations: breaking and entering, burglary, fraud, and conspiracy charges. Judge Harrison began. "I've reviewed the evidence submitted. It's extensive." Mara stood. "Your Honor, we'd like to present the synchronized footage showing premeditated conspiracy." The courtroom screens lit up, 4 camera angles playing simultaneously my security system. Noah's doorbell camera, the street camera from across the road, and Sloane's own live stream. The timestamp synced perfectly across all four. As you can see, Mara narrated, at 3:42 p.m., defendants Frank and Lorraine Hart position themselves at the legal boundary. At 3:55 p.m., they signal defendant Sloane Hart. At 4:03 p.m., Sloane attempts unauthorized entry using a stolen key fob. The courtroom watched Sloane pick my locks while cheerfully explaining to her audience that it was family property. Several people gasped when she entered with her followers. Objection, Sloane's defender said weakly. The defendant believed she had permission. While picking locks, Judge Harrison's eyebrow raised. Continue, Ms. Ellison. Mara pulled up the financial evidence. 3 months of systematic fraud. Here's defendant Lorraine Hart attempting to add herself to Ms. Riley Hart's mortgage. Screen showed the forged documents. Here's defendant Sloane Hart using stolen credit card information for purchases totaling $47,000. The Tesla purchase agreement appeared on screen. Bought using my social security number and a fake employment verification claiming Sloane worked at Northline Dynamics, my employer. Here's defendant Frank Hart on security footage purchasing lockpicks and teaching them to Sloane Hart 2 weeks ago. The home improvement store footage was crystal clear. Frank demonstrating the tools while Sloane filmed for her urban exploration prep video. Your Honor, Mara continued, I'd like to call witness Noah Alvarez. Noah took the stand, steady and credible. I witnessed Mr. and Mrs. Hart attempting to break into Riley's house 3 separate times before yesterday. I have doorbell footage from September showing them with a crowbar at 2 a.m. More gasps from the gallery. Witness Jim Morrison has also submitted an affidavit with evidence of similar crimes against Lorraine Hart's mother in Kansas, resulting in elder financial abuse and fraud. My mother's face went white. Judge Harrison reviewed the submitted bank records. Mr. and Mrs. Hart, you're currently on bail for previous breaking and entering charges. Correct? Your Honor. Frank started. That's our daughter's house. We helped. The deed is solely in Riley Hart's name. Do you have any legal claim to the property? We're her parents. That's not a legal claim, sir. Sloane suddenly stood. This is harassment. I'm an influencer with 3 million followers. This is about jealousy. Sit down, Ms. Hart. The judge's voice could have frozen water. I've watched your videos, all of them, including the one where you explicitly state, and I quote, we're going to take everything she has because she owes us. The courtroom screen showed that exact clip. Sloane had posted it to her close friend's story, thinking it was private. But one of those friends had screen recorded it and sent it to me after seeing the arrest footage. Your Honor, Mara said. We also have evidence of extortion. The texts appeared on screen. Lorraine's demands for public apologies. Threats to release more if I didn't comply. The GoFundMe fraud claiming elder abuse while planning crimes. I've seen enough, Judge Harrison said. Defendants Frank and Lorraine Hart. Your bail is revoked for violating protection orders and committing new crimes while on release. Defendant Sloane Hart. Bail set at $50,000 cash. Surrender passport. No internet access. No internet, Sloane shrieked. That's my career. Your career appears to be committing crimes on camera, Ms. Hart. Officer Kincaid stood with the criminal charges. Your Honor, the state charges Frank Hart with breaking and entering, conspiracy, and violation of protection order. Lorraine Hart with the same plus identity theft and fraud. Sloane Hart with burglary, grand theft, fraud exceeding $30,000, and cyber harassment. Additionally, a new voice said from the gallery. A woman in an FBI windbreaker stood. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is assuming jurisdiction over the wire fraud and interstate commerce violations. The FBI? Mara had mentioned the possibility, but seeing it happen was different. Your Honor, the agent continued, the defendants used online platforms to fundraise through fraud, crossed state lines with stolen property, and attempted bank fraud affecting federal institutions. We're filing federal charges. Frank and Lorraine were handcuffed immediately. Sloane collapsed in her chair as reality hit federal charges meant federal prison. Wait. Lorraine turned to me, tears streaming. Riley, please, we're your parents. Tell them what? Mom, I stood for the first time. That you called me weak, that you broke into my home, that you stole from Grandma before she died. The courtroom went silent. You thought I was weak because I was quiet, because I didn't fight back for years. I looked at each of them. But I wasn't weak. I was gathering evidence. Every text, every theft, every lie. You gave me 3 months of evidence because you thought I'd never use it. You'll always be weak, Lorraine spat, the mask finally off completely. Always running to authorities instead of what? Letting you rob me. Letting you destroy my life. I pulled out my phone, showing the RFID tracker app. Every item you stole is tagged. Even now, Grandma's tea set is in Sloane's storage unit on Colfax. The mirror is in your garage. The documents you took yesterday were decoys with GPS trackers. Sloane's lawyer whispered urgently in her ear. Your Honor, Mara said, we request immediate asset freezing and restitution for all stolen property and damages. Granted, all defendant assets are frozen pending investigation. As they led my parents out in handcuffs, my father looked back. You destroyed this family. No, Dad, you destroyed yourselves. I just documented it. Sloane was last, hands cuffed in front, her perfectly curated image shattered. The influencer who'd built a following on family drama was now the star of her own true crime documentary. The internet will forget this, she hissed at me. I smiled. No, Sloane, the internet never forgets. Every video, every stream, every post you made is evidence. You created a permanent record of your own crimes. As they led her away, her phone in evidence bags buzzed with notifications. The GoFundMe had been shut down for fraud. Her YouTube channel was demonetized. Her Instagram was suspended. Judge Harrison made her final notes. Ms. Riley Hart, the court grants full permanent protection orders against all 3 defendants. Upon their release, they may not contact you in any form, come within 1,000 feet of your property, or use third parties to harass you. Thank you, Your Honor. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited, but I walked past them all, down to the trash bin at the corner. From my pocket, I pulled out the old house key, the one from before I changed the locks, the one my parents had copied, the one that symbolized their assumed ownership of my life. I dropped it in the trash with a satisfying clank. Done. The courthouse steps stretched before me, bathed in Colorado's afternoon sun. Behind those heavy doors, my parents and sister were being processed fingerprints, mugshots, federal paperwork. The collapse of their 20-year con game compressed into a single afternoon. My phone buzzed continuously. Messages from Northline colleagues who'd seen the news. Veterans from my old unit offering support. Even strangers who'd followed the story, apologizing for believing Sloane's lies. I silenced it all. Mara emerged from the courthouse, briefcase in hand, victory sharp in her smile. The federal prosecutor wants to meet Monday. They're pursuing 15 counts of wire fraud, plus RICO charges for the conspiracy. Your parents are looking at 10 to 15 years. Sloane might get 5 to 7 if she cooperates. Will they serve time? With the evidence you compiled, absolutely. The FBI agent called it the most thoroughly documented family fraud case she'd seen. We walked toward the parking lot where Noah waited in his truck, ready to drive me home, my actual home, finally secured. There's more, Mara continued. Sloane's GoFundMe donors are filing a class action suit against her. The platform already agreed to full refunds, but they want damages. Her influencer career is over. I thought about Sloane's 3 million followers, built on staged drama and real cruelty. Now they'd have front row seats to actual consequences. What about restitution? The house in Kansas they inherited from your grandmother, the one they stole, will be liquidated. The Tesla, their savings. Everything goes to paying you back. You'll recover most of the $47,000, plus damages. Money I'd never expected to see again. But that wasn't the real victory. As we reached Noah's truck, I turned back to look at the courthouse. Through those doors, 3 people who'd spent decades calling me weak had just learned what strength actually looked like. Not raised voices or threats or manipulation, just patient, methodical, devastating truth. "You did good, kid," Noah said as I climbed in. "Your grandmother would be proud." He was right. Grandma had left me more than jewelry and heirlooms. She'd left me the backbone to protect them. The drive home felt different. For 3 months, every trip had carried the weight of potential ambush. Would they be there? What new violation would I find? Now the GPS trackers showed their locations clearly. County jail, federal holding. No longer my problem. My house looked exactly as I'd left it that morning. Except for the crime scene tape across the front door, a temporary inconvenience while forensics finished processing. The broken door had already been replaced by the emergency contractor, new locks gleaming in the sun. I stood in my driveway, pulled out my phone, and opened the security app. One by one, I deleted the emergency contacts, removed the panic buttons, disabled the proximity alerts. The war was over. From my pocket, I pulled out the old key, not the one I'd thrown away at court for show, but the original, the first key to my first house, the symbol of everything I'd worked for, everything they'd tried to take. I walked to the edge of my property where a construction crew was installing new fencing taller, stronger, with no gaps for anyone to crawl through. The foreman nodded at me. "Heard what happened. Glad you're okay." "Thanks to good cameras and better lawyers," he laughed. "And military-grade planning, from what I heard." The key felt light in my hand, such a small thing to carry so much weight. For a moment, I considered keeping it a reminder, a trophy. But trophies were for people who needed to remember their victories. I didn't need reminders. I had freedom. The public trash bin at the corner was empty except for leaves. The key made a soft ping as it hit the bottom. Final. Irreversible. "You'll always be weak." My mother's favorite weapon, thinking those words would break me. She never understood that weak people don't survive combat logistics in Afghanistan. They don't build careers from nothing. They don't document months of abuse while being psychologically tortured. They don't face down their demons in court and win. Weak people don't win wars. They start them. My phone buzzed one last time. A notification from the bank. "Your accounts have been secured. All fraudulent attempts blocked. Your credit has been restored." I walked up my driveway, past the spot where Sloan had performed for her audience, past the door my parents had broken, past all the places they'd violated. The afternoon sun warmed my face as I reached for the new keys, biometric, unpickable, coded only to me. The lock clicked open with a soft beep. My house, my rules, my life, behind me, somewhere across the city. 3 people who'd defined me by their own weakness were learning what it cost to underestimate someone they'd trained to be strong. Every insult had been ammunition. Every "you're nothing" had been motivation. Every "you'll always be weak" had been proof they never knew me at all. I stepped inside and closed the door. The silence felt different now, not empty but peaceful, not abandoned but chosen. For the first time in 3 months, maybe 3 decades, I was truly alone. And it was perfect. The cameras still recorded, but now they watched over a house at peace. The locks still secured, but now they protected instead of defended. The walls still stood, but now they sheltered instead of fortified. I poured myself coffee from this morning's pot, reheated it in the microwave, and stood at my kitchen window. Outside, life continued. Neighbors walking dogs, kids riding bikes, normal people living normal lives, unaware of the war that had just ended in their midst. My reflection in the window looked different somehow. Not harder, I'd always been hard when necessary. Not stronger, the strength had always been there. Just free. The woman staring back wasn't the weak daughter they'd tried to create or the victim they'd tried to exploit. She was just Riley Hart, veteran, professional, survivor, winner. I raised my coffee cup to my reflection, a toast to the woman who'd refused to break. Then I closed the blinds. shutting out the world that had watched my family's destruction play out in real time. Tomorrow would bring meetings with federal prosecutors, insurance claims, asset recovery, the long process of untangling 3 decades of financial abuse. But tonight, I sat in my living room, in my house, surrounded by my grandmother's recovered heirlooms and my own hard-won peace. The only sound was the gentle hum of the refrigerator and the tick of the antique clock on the mantel the one Sloane had tried to steal, now home where it belonged. "You'll always be weak." I smiled, remembering those words that had started everything. The match my mother had lit, thinking she was burning me down. Instead, she'd lit a fuse, and the explosion had destroyed them all. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment and let's connect. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts below. What would you have done in Riley's situation? Your stories and perspectives matter too.